Here we are back to Aesop's Fables for some more stories. The Hares and the Frogs. You remember hares or rabbits? For a long time, the hares had believed themselves the most persecuted of all animals. Everyone was their enemy, they said. One day, when the prospect looked especially dark, they came to the sad resolution that there was nothing left for them but to make away with themselves, one and all. So off they ran to a lake nearby, determined to throw themselves into the water to be drowned. But at their approach, a school of frogs seated on the shore took fright and dived into the water. "Hold up!" cried the hare who was in the lead. "Let us not be too hasty. Surely our case is not so desperate yet, for here are other poor creatures even more faint-hearted than we ourselves." The application: there is always someone worse off than yourself. There's always someone worse off than yourself. Wow, that's a great story. Here's the next one: the eagle and the fox. An eagle and a fox long had lived together as good neighbors, and the eagle at the top of a high tree and the fox in a hole at the foot of it. One day, however, while the fox was away, the eagle, seeking a tender morsel for her nest full of young ones, swooped down upon the fox's cub and carried it away to her nest. The fox, on her return home, upbraided the eagle for his breach of friendship and pleaded with the eagle to return the cub to her den. But the eagle, feeling sure that her own brood high up in their treetop nest were safe from any possible revenge, ignored the entreaties of the cub's mother. Quickly running to the place where she knew an altar fire to be burning, the fox snatched a brand and carried it back to the tree. The mother eagle, who was just on the point of tearing the cub to pieces to feed to her babies, looked down and saw that the fox was going to set fire to the tree and burn it and her nest and eagles to ashes. "Hold on, dear neighbor," she screamed. "Don't set fire to our tree. I'll bring back your cub to you safe and sound." Well, that was a strange story. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Here's the cock and the fox. Cock, remember, is a rooster. A cock was trotting past a farmyard early one morning when he heard a cock crowing. Upon investigation, he found the chanticleer was perched in a tall tree far out of reach of anyone who might be entertaining thoughts of having him for breakfast. "Why, cousin fox, or cousin cock," the fox called up to the bird in the tall tree, "what a pleasure it is to see you. Won't you come down and let me greet you properly?" "I would love to," replied the cock, who was no fool. "But as you know, there are some animals who would like nothing better than to grab me and eat me." "Why, my dear cousin," exclaimed the fox, "do you mean to say you haven't heard the news? All the animals have agreed to live in peace with one another." While the fox was speaking, the cock kept craning his neck as though he could see something very interesting in the distance. Naturally, the fox was consumed with curiosity. "Cousin, what in the world do you see up there that is so interesting?" "Oh, nothing much, just a pack of hounds headed in this direction and coming at a fast clip," said the cock. "Oh, please excuse me," said the fox nervously. "I just thought of something I had forgotten." "What's the hurry?" asked the cock. "I was just coming down for a talk. You don't mean to say that you have anything to be afraid of now that you know about the wonderful peace plan?" "Oh, well," replied the fox as he started to run, "maybe those hounds haven't heard about it yet." The best liars often get caught in their own lies. Ooh, that's a great point. The best liars often get caught in their own lies. Here's the horse and the laden ass. Laden means that he's weighed down. He's been burdened up with a load to carry. Once there was a man who had kept a horse and an ass as beasts of burden. It was his custom to lead the ass until he could barely stagger under the weight, while the horse was allowed to prance along in its fine trappings with a very light load. As they were proceeding along the road, one day the ass, who had been ailing for the past several days, said to the horse, "Will you relieve me of part of my load for a few miles? I feel dreadfully unwell, but if you will carry a fair portion of the freight today, I will soon get well again. This weight is killing me." The horse, however, merely kicked up his heels and told the ass not to trouble him with his complaints. The ass staggered along for another half-mile in silence, then suddenly fell to the ground, dead. Just then the master came up, and perceiving what had just happened, he removed the load from the dead ass and placed it on the horse's back. "Alas!" groaned the horse as he started off with the heavy load augmented by the carcass of the dead ass. So he's not only carrying the load, he's carrying now the dead donkey. "Now am I rewarded for my ill nature. By refusing to bear my fair share of the load, I now must carry the whole of it, plus the dead weight of my poor companion." I just added that last part. Here's the application. A bad temper carries with it its own punishment. Here's the last story for today, the miser. A miser is somebody who's very stingy with their money and possessions. A miser who never stopped worrying about the safety of his many possessions sold all his property and converted it into a huge lump of gold. This he buried in a hole in the ground near his garden wall, and every morning he went to visit it and gloated over the size of it. The miser's strange behavior aroused the curiosity of the town thief. Spying upon the rich man from some bushes, the thief saw him place the lump of gold back in the hole and cover it up. As soon as the miser's back was turned, the thief went to the spot, dug up the gold, and took it away. The next morning, when the miser came to gloat over his treasure, he found nothing but an empty hole. He wept, he tore his hair, and so loud were his lamentations that a neighbor came running to see what the trouble was. As soon as he had learned the cause of it, he said comfortingly, "You are foolish to distress yourself so over something that was buried in the earth. Take a stone and put it on the hole and think that it is your lump of gold. You never meant to use it anyway. Therefore, it will do you just as much good to fondle a lump of granite as a lump of gold." The true value of money is not in its possession, but in its use. That's pretty smart. Well, that's it for the day. Aesop's Fables. More later. Bye.